theme of the show, advice from a wife. Like, what are your thoughts on living with the person before marriage?
Do you think a woman should take in consideration how her man would like her to dress?
Does it matter how a woman presents herself in her single season on social media if she wants to be a wife? Your man is 100% a provider in the home, which I hear all day, every day on my show. Do you think that should be every woman's requirement? Should she require that her man is 100% the provider?
No.
You do not believe a man is a prize.
I just don't understand this concept.
What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about marriage?
There's a lot.
Hey everyone, welcome to Honestly Kendra G. I am so excited about today's episode because I have a guest and I saw you guys. We can't wait for Kendra to bring one of her celebrity friends on the show. And listen, that will happen. For sure, I'm going to invite some of my celebrity friends on the podcast, but that's not really the mission behind this podcast. I did that for 20 years of my life. Really, this mission is to help women in particular. Of course, we got men that watch too, but the mission is to help women to get into a better situation. So today I got one of my favorite humans on the planet who just happens to be my best friend, and the title is called Advice from a Wife. She is married. She also owns her own floral company, Old Vine Floral. They have their own fragrance, Old Vine Fragrance, and she, like I said, is my bestie. So she's a celebrity to me. We got Itika Grimbo in the building. Hey girl.
Hi KG. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. It's so funny because we have toyed about a podcast for a very long time. And, you know, Itika's like literally my best friend. So we talk all the time. And we were like, we can't say this shit on camera.
No, we cannot.
We cannot say this stuff. We can't be recorded with this information. And then also, I don't know if you have, but I've seen friends do podcasts together and they don't be friends no more after.
I have seen or heard, and you know, because the comments and everybody, and it's like when you're besties, you might say something that somebody would be like, ugh, but it's like, you know my heart, I know your heart.
Right.
You know, we talk every day, all day.
Right,
like,
right. So I'm like, we're going to protect our friendship.
Yes.
That's more important. But I wanted to bring you on because obviously, you know, I mean, she knows everything about me. I own a dating app. I host a dating show. And a lot of times I'll say stuff and it's stuff that I kind of got from you. And people be like, she's not even married. She don't got no kids. How's she going to help you become a wife? And I'm like, and I've said this 1,000 times, mostly all of my friends are married. So I said, you know what? We're going to do an episode called Advice from a Wife. I'm going to bring my bestie on who is married and we're going to get some advice because I have so many women who want to be in your position as an loving husband, provider, you know, you guys have a child together. It's a very beautiful story. So we got a couple things to say, but before we get there, and we will do a bestie show, I got to just say, I love you so much.
I love you too. And I'm so proud of you, Kendra.
No.
Your journey is, you know, you inspire me every day. I tell you that all the time.
Aw.
Your hustle is so, can we say it, Russell?
But, you know, I was thinking about you, and we're going to do a bestie show, but since it's like we're going to do this episode, I want to just say it as I'm talking to you. I love you so much because I was thinking about it. There's probably 5 people on this planet who really, really, really know me. Like knows the highs, the lows, the journey, the work. And the fact that I can be myself with you, celebrate with you, cry with you, you know, feel like I can say anything to you. Sometimes I feel bad because you have such it is not easy being my best friend because my emotions could be all around the world. And because I don't trust a lot of people, you're a person that I trust enough to come to with anything. So I just want to say thank you for being a friend.
Aww.
Like, thank you for being a friend.
And vice versa. Listen, my life is a little more calm now, but there was a time when I was calling you and I was going through it, and you answered every call and you showed up and you hugged me and you told me, you know, the hard truth. So I'm just, you know, paying it back.
I know this is kind of becoming into the best friend show, but I want to tell people how we met, and then we'll get into where we are now. So, you know, Chicago, I love y'all so much because Chicago, really, when I think about it, so many amazing things happened to me in that city, and we actually met in that city. And it's 19 years ago, because it was 2006.
Oh my
I remember the year because my mother was alive and she had a stroke that year. And the reason I remember, when I first moved to Chicago, Oprah was still there, and Oprah was the thing, child. When if you go to Chicago, you're trying to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show.
I mean, Oprah was Chicago.
Yes.
Like, Chicago obviously has lots of other things that people remember it for, know it for. But when the Oprah Show was in Chicago,
Yes.
like, you wanted to meet Oprah, you wanted to go see Oprah.
Yes.
Oprah was, yes.
Everything. So I didn't know you at this time, but I just moved to Chicago, and then my friends came to visit, like my birthday weekend, and we go to the Harpo Studios, and then there was a guy like walking out of the building, and I was like, oh my God, you work here? Like, you know Oprah? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I just moved to Chicago. I gotta come to the show. He was like, well, we're not filming right now, but when we come back filming, I'll get you tickets. And I was like, please remember me. I host the morning show on Power 92. So excited. This was in May. Fast forward to, I want to say October, like months later, that man remembered me, found my email, sent me an email and said, are you the girl I met in the parking lot a few months ago? Because if so, I have tickets to the Oprah show in 2 weeks. And I was like, yes, it's me. So the reason I'm telling you guys this story is because it ties into Itika. So, okay, so I'm all excited. You know, this is the year my mother had a stroke, so she was still recovering. But I was like, Ma, we going to the Oprah Winfrey Show. You know, you're coming to Chicago for the first time. She was still living in Connecticut. So the weekend, it was a Monday taping, and the weekend prior, I was hosting an event, a model competition. And lo and behold, Itika was one of the judges.
I was. And it was like Miller Lite.
Yeah, it was like Bud Light. It was like Miller Lite, Bud Light, girl. But we clicked. Like, I was the host and she was one of the judges. And you know, you kind of have to talk to the judges, and we just kind of clicked. And then when it was all said, I was like, well, let's stay in touch. She gives me her card, and then she had a card with her number on it, but it said Harpo Studios. And I was like, oh my God, she works for Oprah. Like, had no idea. You know, I look at your card after like we leave, and I was like, maybe I'll see her on Monday. So now this is like the weekend. Monday happens. I'm going to the Oprah Winfrey Show with my mother. Lo and behold, the girl I met a few days earlier was the audience coordinator.
Yes. I was the audience coordinator, and I sat you and your mom in some really good seats.
You sat us in the front. You literally sat us in the front of the audience. It was the episode with Gail and Oprah. They did a road trip, child. And I always tell people I knew Gail before I knew Oprah, because, you know, I'm from Connecticut, and Gail started off as the evening anchor in Connecticut. So before I heard of Oprah Winfrey, I knew who Gail King was.
Okay.
So you sat me and my mom right in the front.
Yes.
And then, you know, it was so, like, I love this story so much because that's nothing but God, right? It's really nothing but God. And then we've been bosom buddies in this thing of life for a long time. So that's how we met, people.
That is how we met.
Okay, so now let's get to the theme of the show, advice from a wife. I do want to say this because to this day, people still talk about my Kevin Samuels interview. Oof. Like, to this day, right? May he rest in peace. You know, I don't play with people that pass on.
Yeah.
But I remember in that interview, he really got upset with me because he really wanted me to tell women, you must have children by a certain time. And the reason I wouldn't just say, yes, he's right, because at that time, during that interview, you were pregnant with your first child. And how old were you?
I was 40 years old, and I had her when I was 41.
Yeah, so you were pregnant at 40, and you guys were married at that time, right?
Well, we got engaged, and then I got pregnant, and then we got married, and then we had her.
Right. But what's crazy is you guys got engaged not because you were pregnant. You didn't even know you were pregnant. You just got engaged.
We got engaged. I mean, it was time. We had been together for 5 years.
Right.
So it was like, okay, let's, it's time.
Okay. Well, I'm happy you brought that up because we're going to deep dive in that. But that's the reason why, for the backstory, why I wouldn't just say, yes, you need to have children by a certain age, because I witnessed your journey. Like, you literally was pregnant at 40 and had a baby at 41.
Naturally, also.
Naturally.
Which is, honestly, I do like to also say that it was a little bit divine intervention, because I had never been pregnant before in my life. I had never been pregnant. Okay. So to have gotten pregnant at 40 years old with my, soon to be husband, it really was like the stars just aligned and God got involved. It was a blessing.
No, I think so too. Because you wasn't even pressed to be a mom.
No, I was happy.
You're like a great, like, here's the deal. She's such a good mother. Like, I almost can't even, like, I can't even almost remember the days when you were not a mom, because you're a really good mom.
Thank you
enjoy being a mom. This is why sometimes I feel like, I know, listen, it's not a lie. When you get older, it is becoming more complicated to have children. But the blessing when you get older, you already lived your life.
Yeah, period.
Like, you already lived your life. You're not mad at your child. Like, I could be in Jamaica right now if it wasn't for you.
All of that.
We did all the things.
And I see people online, they're like, why would you have children older? Like, it's so strange when I see it. Like, people will say, or women will say, I'm in my 20s. I couldn't imagine having kids in my 40s, or I'm in my 30s. I couldn't imagine waiting until I'm 40 to have kids. And it's like, 20-year-old me, 20-something-year-old me with a kid? Absolutely not. She was not ready. She
Girl,
was
we was
ready.
on planes.
Oh, listen, outside. Okay, 30-something-year-old me, she was not ready. God knew what he was doing. He was like, sis, you need a few more years to get your stuff together.
But you know what I love about that, though? And this is what I've learned in hosting my dating show. Life is really not one size fit all, right? So if you're 20 years old and you're ready to become a mom, no shade. Like, that makes sense. But if you're not ready, you know, I'm a big believer and I get so much help from this online, but I will never change this. I will always tell women to freeze their eggs because it will just buy you more time.
You get hell for telling people to freeze their eggs?
Oh, girl, you understand, these internet streets be like,
oh my God,
they be trying to come for me and my frozen eggs, baby child.
That is the smartest thing you can do as a woman who has, in my opinion, who wants to have children but has yet to find their life partner, is to freeze your eggs.
Right.
It's the smartest thing you could do.
Yes, because
a lot of companies, their insurance will cover it, so it's essentially free. It's the smartest thing you could do.
Yeah, even though that wasn't your experience.
No,
you didn't have to go that route. But I love that you still support it.
Yes.
Because listen, life, like I said, life is not one size fit all. So you might meet Mr. Right at 25, or maybe you'll meet Mr. Right at 42, and at least you have your frozen eggs if you want to pursue motherhood still. So I will always, I'm gonna look right at the camera. If you know you want to be a mom one day, freeze your eggs right now. Now, yes, it's going to cost you a coin, but you buying expensive purses, you going on trips. This way, it will give you an opportunity to not be rushed when you meet a guy. So I'm never going to not tell women to do that.
I just don't think there's a downside to it if you want to have children one day, but you haven't found the person that you want to share your life with.
Right. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things, because this episode is called Advice from a Wife. And something you said, it wasn't one of my questions, but I think it'll be good to talk about because you're obviously married, but before you got married, you and your now husband lived together.
Yes.
And you mentioned you guys were together for 5 years before you guys officially got married. Now, some people will say, why did you wait too long? Maybe you shouldn't have moved in. Like, what are your thoughts on living with the person before marriage?
You know, I think it's fine. I feel like if you live with someone, you really get to know them.
Right.
And personally, if you wait until marriage to really get to know the person in that way, it's just a different knowledge that you get when you are living under the same roof. You can, but for me, you know, I think I was like 36 when we moved in, and I had all my stuff. He had all his stuff. So it wasn't like I needed a place to stay. It wasn't like he was trying to convince me and put me in this situation where I was doing something I didn't want to do. We just were spending so much time together. It was like, why are we paying 2 rents? Like, really, it just didn't make sense.
Right.
Like, either you're at my house or I'm at your house. Why are we paying 2 rents? It was that simple.
Did you think that moving in, because I hear this at times, moving in makes him comfortable, and then it's like now he has no reason to get married or propose because he already has you in the home, and it's like you're getting the wife benefits without literally being married. So what would you say to that?
I think that is a personality type.
Okay.
If the person does not want to get married, they don't want to get married. It's not because they moved you in and now they don't have a reason. Like, they just don't want to get married to you anymore, right? Maybe they did one day and then a couple months went by and they could have learned some things about you living under the same roof that was like, oh, I don't know if this is the woman that I want to spend the rest of my life with. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we can make choices and our minds can change.
Right.
So if something goes down while y'all are living together and, you know, minds change, that's not that big of a deal to me.
Right.
You know, maybe
right.
someone else might be devastated. Like, oh my God, I moved all the way. You know, I moved in here. I got rid of my place. But I'm going to also say when I moved in with him, I Airbnb'd my apartment for a year.
Okay.
So I didn't just break my lease and, you know, have nowhere to go. I did give myself a year just in case.
Okay.
I did do that.
Okay. So if things didn't work out, you could go back to your apartment.
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
I sure did, girl.
I didn't even know that. Like, look, I'm learning things about you. Now, let me ask this. Did you guys talk about marriage? Did you know that marriage was going to be something that he wanted? Because what I love about her husband, BG, he's like cool, right? BG's my N-word, if I can say it like that, right? I think all of your friends love your husband, and BG gives it to us real. He gonna tell us he's a real, like, he's not no punk, like he a real one. That's the way to say it.
Yes.
Your husband's a real one.
Yes, yes.
So do you feel like, did y'all talk early on about marriage? Like, were you like, because I think two things could be true, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think if you do want marriage and this guy is saying, because there's a string along thing and he's just making it sound like he's going to marry you one day, but potentially never. Mm-hmm. And then there's a guy that's like, no, I want to get married to you. I just got to put some things in place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was very clear within the first year of us dating that he wanted to be married.
Okay.
And he wanted to marry me. He had been married before.
Okay.
And I think, you know, some people, I don't know what the opinions are, the general opinions, but I do think that a man who's been married before, he at least is open to marriage. Because there might be men out there who will tell you they want to marry you. They've never been married before. They're men of a certain age. I would kind of give a side eye, like, are you sure? Because why take you this long? I'm so wonderful. I don't really think that. I think it's really on the man.
Right.
So because he had been married before and we talked a lot about his first marriage and he believes in marriage and he wanted to be married again and he wanted to marry me, you know, I believed him.
Right. I think that's, you know, one thing I've learned in hosting my show, and for 5 years of talking to single people, I have learned so much. And something you said is so true. Like, a man who wants to get married, that's in his cloth, right? Like, and on my show in particular, when I meet I could tell the men who are very serious about getting married. And a lot of times it ties to children because they're ready to start their legacy. So at that moment, they're really looking for a life partner because they want to really start life with that person. Yeah. I think there's some men who just like being in relationships. I think BG was that kind of guy.
He is definitely a serial dater, serial monogamous, like, yes, relationship.
And I think if you're dealing with a guy who's never had a girlfriend, that is a sign. Like, he doesn't like having a girlfriend. He's okay with just dating with women with no titles. This isn't necessarily a judgment. It's more of a get the insight, because you can waste your time with the guy if you know marriage anyways is for real what you want. Then if you're dealing with a guy who ain't have a girlfriend in 10 years, he probably okay with how he living.
Yes, that would be a red flag.
Right.
He didn't have a girlfriend in 10 years.
So do you think, would there have been a time limit for you, like, had you guys never gotten married? Because you said it was like around 5 years when he proposed. Would you have got to a point, if everything was going great, y'all live together, you guys they're literally best friends. Like, they literally are best friends. They do everything together. Would you had left that relationship if he did not propose?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because marriage is something that I wanted. And because he told me that that's something that he wanted, I would have felt deceived. Like, even though we dated for 5 years, he never wavered that he wanted to marry me. Okay. I wasn't getting, mixed signals. It just hadn't happened yet. Right. And a lot of it is, all sorts of things, financials. I feel like we were just having so much fun. Sometimes time just goes by and you're like, oh my God, it's been 3 years. Like, how does time go by that fast? And also, I wasn't really pressuring him. Right. I wasn't like, so when are you going to propose? So then he probably was like, well, she's good, so we're good. You know what I mean? But eventually, I probably would have ended it if we didn't get married.
Okay. Yeah, I think, I'm on the fence with that because I agree with you. One thing I will say, and I think about this, like all of my friends who are married, like y'all standards, that's why it's almost like just have the standard, because my friends who are married, their standards are like so non-negotiable, and they're all married. Like it's like either it's this or that or it's nothing. I'm good type of vibe. But I feel like sometimes you might have a really awesome guy who, for whatever reason, like doesn't believe in marriage, but shows up for you potentially, you know, in the manner of what a husband would do. That's why I think, this is why I say life is not one size fit all, because you may leave a good man and think that, okay, because we didn't get married, and then you're just potentially could be single and might not meet a guy that's treating you that great. But it's such an individual scenario.
If marriage is important to you, I think everyone should at least give themselves a chance to get what they want.
Right.
So if I want to be married and marriage is important to me, then I need to date to marry.
Right.
If it's not as important, but having a life partner, someone to share your life with, it doesn't have to have any labels. You don't have to sign the contract or go in front of a judge or any of that. Then it was fine.
Right.
Don't get married.
Right. It's so interesting because she's dressed so conservative today. I said, girl, you got on a blazer, girl.
It's just like advice from a wife. I mean, I'm trying to look all,
No, but you also told me, you said, well, Brian, he likes this.
He does. My husband has a sense of fashion, and he tells me what he likes and what he doesn't like, and he liked this.
But listen, I like that because when you said that, I said I want to talk about that. Do you think a woman should take in consideration how her man would like her to dress?
Should she take into consideration? My advice to a friend, okay, would be yes.
Yes.
Because you're representing your partner.
Okay.
And vice versa. If I'm walking into a room and I look a certain way, they're looking at me and they're looking at the man that I'm with, and they are judging us. They're making some analysis, right?
Right.
And if my husband or my man wants me to dress a certain way and I'm okay with it, it doesn't bother me. I don't feel like it's asking too much, or putting me, in an uncomfortable position, then I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah.
Because my belief is this is because, you want your woman to look a certain way. You want to be like, hey, look at my girl, and you're proud and you're showing her off, and that's okay.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. No, I like that answer. I think I agree with that answer too, because when you are in a relationship, you should just consider your partner, right?
Yeah.
And let's go to social media because I got so many questions. Well, no, before I go to social media, let me ask this question because, and I was, when you're such good friends, you try to figure out what can you say, what can you not say. But I think you're okay with me saying that you don't pay bills. So
not at home.
Not at home. Not at home. Yes, your husband takes care of the bills at home.
Yes.
You guys own a company together.
We own a company,
Yes,
and
okay.
so that part I am financially responsible for our company.
Okay.
But in the home, no.
No, okay. Now, with that being said, so since your man is 100% a provider in the home, which I hear all day, every day on my show, do you think that should be every woman's requirement? Should she require that her man is 100% the provider?
No, unless it is important to you.
Okay.
Now, I would be in a situation where things were 50-50 potentially. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But that's not the man that I married. So my husband, when we got together, he's like, I take care of all the bills without you. It's all done. Now I'm bringing you into the situation. I don't need you to give me anything because this is already how I'm going to live with or without you. Now, do I buy groceries? Of course. Do I, chip in here and there? I don't, yeah, right. There's no, and if it comes down to it, if I ever have to take over any bills, any expense, I'm more than happy to do it. But it was just kind of like, this is already being paid.
Right. Again, I quote you so much on my show. I literally just had this conversation on my show because I had a woman. Because what happens is, and I said this on the show, I think this is definitely my masculine trait because I am an entrepreneur. I run a company, so I know what it takes to make money. Like, I make money. Nobody pays me. I think I have to make money, right? So and most men are usually in that position. So I think there is a sympathy for me for men in that manner. But I had a woman on my show recently, and she was the mom of 5, and she was 1000% like her, and she was divorced, but her next man had to be a provider, and she's not paying the mortgage, and she'll buy the groceries, kind of like you said. And then I was just like, but girlfriend, you come with 4 humans. And the reason I'm bringing the story up is because of the conversation that you just said, that, you know, most provider men are like kind of what your husband said. I'm already taking care of what I got, so just move into my spot. Well, it's hard to move into like a bachelor pad if you have 4 kids. Like now you have to move to a larger spot that may cost more money. And so it might not be the same ordeal. And so when you were sharing that story, I was like, see, I be quoting her all the time, you know, and not saying that a woman with 4 kids can't get this package, right? So again, I always say this, I'm not God, I'm not absolute. I can't say what will not happen, but the probabilities, it's more tough because it's more expensive.
It's more expensive. I mean, listen, we have one, and I have a bonus son. We have one together. Children are so expensive. I'm like paying for babysitters when you go out to eat, tuition, family trips. There's another flight you got to buy. I mean, they're expensive. So I don't think it's something you should take lightly, putting that responsibility on anyone else.
That's not the original parent.
Yes, I don't think you should take that lightly.
Okay. But even though you don't pay 100%, I mean, you have 100% provider in the home, you do think that if a woman's in a situation 50-50 with a guy, that's acceptable?
100%, because everything is expensive. I mean, come on, even especially in LA.
Right.
So if I'm working a job and this is what I can afford, you're working a job, this is what you can afford, we put our stuff together and we could really, you know, take ourselves to another level, get a better place, get a better car, you know, go on more trips. Yes, do that. I think you should do that.
You think you should do that? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Advice from a wise child. She said you might have to put something on the mortgage. One thing I will say, and I think I'll share this story. I try to, like, you're a friend I'm revealing the face of, but a lot of my other friends I don't want to tell everybody's business. But there is one story of one of my friends who married an athlete, and like I want to say within maybe a year or 2 in their marriage, he got hurt and he couldn't return. I don't want to tell the sport, but he couldn't return. And, you know, obviously most people think like, oh, she hit the jackpot. She married an athlete. No, like 2 years in the marriage, everything changed. And then she had to essentially kind of be the breadwinner for a minute because her husband dealt with a lot. Like, you know, the opportunity that he's been preparing for his whole life, you know, money changing almost like overnight. And if she was not in it for the real substance, then she would have been out, but she was in it for the real substance. And just because she, like, it seemed like she hit the jackpot, and I think she did hit the jackpot in life because outside of the money, they have a beautiful family, right? And they've been married for like 20 years now. Like, this is like in my 20s. So they've been married for a very long time. But that's why the money thing, it literally can shift overnight. Like, you could be with 100% a provider, and then something can happen to him, and then you have to woman up like extremely fast.
And it happens in my opinion, people have to understand marriages have highs and they have lows. They have ups and they have downs. And if you're in it for life, you got to roll with the punches. You just do. You know, if I had to go get 3 jobs to help pay the bills because my husband lost his job, I wouldn't think twice about it.
I love that. What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about marriage?
What are some of the biggest misconceptions about marriage? There's a lot. I think that one of the biggest misconceptions about marriage, I'm going to say what is the biggest, is that you don't ever disagree, that you don't ever have conflict. I feel like depending on your personality, you might have a lot of conflict. It's how you handle the conflict. And that really is where you find an amazing marriage, in my opinion. I don't think a marriage with no conflict is amazing. I think a marriage where 2 people from time to time have conflict, but are able to, you know, fight fair, come to an understanding, forgive easily, that is how you get to the happy marriage.
I love it. okay, let's talk about social media. Does it matter how a woman presents herself in her single season on social media if she wants to be a wife?
I think so.
You do?
Yes. Yes. Girl, I was single trying to be a wife on social media. So I was out there, put my little thirst traps out there. But yeah, I think so.
But then you end up getting married.
I did, but my thirst traps were not traps. They were like mini little baby traps. I was before, it got real thirsty.
But so tell me why. Like, do you think it should be a more conservative? Like, what would be some of the advice to the women who are very like on social media and present themselves?
I feel like you should present yourself for who you are. So don't try to deceive people on social media. Pretend like you get flued out all the time and shopping on Rodeo, and that's really not your life. Just be like, this is my life, however you want to present it. But I think you should be authentic. And I don't think you should. I feel like sometimes women, they are hypersexualize themselves on social media, and maybe they don't think they're being hyper sexy, but it's like, yeah, girl, I can see all your stuff. But then you don't want to be sexualized by men that approach you, that have seen your social pages. They're like, well, you're so sexy on social media. Like, can I hit that? And then you're like, how dare you? It's like, girl, you don't think he's going to ask? Like, to me, that's where it gets tricky.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's fair. It's almost like you walk up to a police officer, you expect them to be a police officer. So if a woman is dressing revealing, although it's not right, no man has the right to be disrespectful. But if a man sees you in a certain way on social media, they're going to expect you to present a certain way. So,
and I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying if you're body confident and this is how you like to present, this is the type of pictures you like to take, and that's how you like to get attention, by all means. But just know it is going to garner a type of response and a type of man. And that is just kind of like how things work in life.
I got that. Let me tell you, this is my personal story. So Leon and Kyle, I host a morning show in Chicago at WGCI. And I love my photo shoot. So this is like 30s. We're like 30 years old. We traveling. We going to Mexico, like all around this world. And I will always do like bikini photo shoots, like always. And then Leon and Kyle were always, and honestly, I swear I wasn't trying to be a thirst trap. I would say that. I wasn't trying to be a thirst trap. I just really loved my body. I really want that body back. And I just really I was in amazing shape. So I was like bikini down. Like it was a thing, child. And Leon and Kyle, as my brothers and my radio co-workers, they were like, this is not how you think you're just doing it for women. Men look at these photos and they have all these thoughts. And I'll never forget the day I finally got it, because I would give them so much pushback because it truly wasn't my intention. I went to Mexico for my friend's birthday, and there was like a phone party, right? I was like, oh, okay, we're in the phone party, and I post the phone. It's literally a phone party. I post a phone party like on Instagram. When I tell you those comments were so like,
the phone had them going.
The phone had them going. And for the first time, literally, it clicked. And I was like, what? I was mad. I was like, I cannot believe, because I'm actually, even though I'm kind of conservative to a certain degree. Yeah. And I was just like, I was so upset. Like one of my guy friends, Charlie Mack, who's one of my really good friends, called me and was like, you know how this video, and I was like, are you serious? And I don't know. It's been so many years. I think I may have taken it down, but that was the moment when I got how people perceive you. Yeah. So it might not be a woman's intentions to be presented as sexualized, and men are gonna look at you this way, but that's the way they're looking at you.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I loved your bikini pics that you would take when you were on vacation.
Girl, okay.
I thought they were classy. I didn't think they were distasteful. I thought your body was great. You were working out. You were on vacay. I thought they were fine, but I guess the phone was a bridge too far.
I think the phone, I think it was the phone because I thought the photos would be nice too. And then also when I'll have photographers and they'll be like, arch back. And I'm like, I'm not arching back. But there was a time, I have 1 million followers on social media now. I didn't always have 1 million followers. So even when I was doing radio, I think before my show, I had like 100,000 social media followers. And there's a lot of things I posted when I had such a small following that I would never post now because now it's like, listen, I don't think I say I'm a public figure. I don't say I'm famous, but I'm definitely a public figure to the point where if I post something on my Instagram, like it's on somebody else's page, I'm like, well, I was just trying to show it to my friends, child. So I kind of got that a little bit. So I'm way more cautious on what I share now than I did, girl, when we was going through these streets. Let's talk about, okay. So this is episode of Advice from a Wife. I want to get your idea about this. Should a woman ever pay for a date?
I think it's okay to pay for a date.
No, now we about to disagree. Why should a woman should never pay for a date? Okay. Let's be clear. Not like your husband's birthday's coming up. Not like you're in a relationship. That's gonna happen, right? Once you're in a partnership, that's gonna probably change a lot. But in the beginning, during the courting stage, you think a woman should be open-minded to paying for a date?
Personally, okay, since you, not necessarily while courting, because courting is, for me, if you ask me, it's the time for the man to show you kind of who he is, how he shows up, how, he behaves. So by treating you, he's saying, I'm a provider. I take care of things. I can afford to do this or that. Meaning, if we go to dinner, it doesn't have to be the best restaurant. You're just, or I should say most expensive restaurant, but you're taking me where you can afford. Right. And that is totally cool, right? So courting, yes, I do think the man should pay. But if it's in your heart and you're being courted and one of the dates, you're like, I got this. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If that's in your heart.
Right. I've done that. Okay. That's fair. I've definitely done that. Like but it's not the first, second, maybe third, third. And the reason I say this is because you kind of said it. It doesn't have to be an expensive date. Like if what he can afford is breakfast and we're going to go to Dunkin' Donuts and talk, I think that's fine. Like I think a woman, or if it's like, let's work out and we get smoothies and I take care of the smoothie, like whatever his budget entails. So it's not like it has to be $1,000 date. It could totally be a $50 date within his budget. But I think it's very, the reason I give pushback on a woman paying first, second, okay, third, you could definitely, and I think I have probably even offered, because I'm definitely a girl that is, like, I don't mind paying, like, offering things in relationships when it comes to money. Like, if I got it and you've done so much, okay, I can do this. But I think that so many women, times have changed. And there's men who feel like they're the prize and they're requiring women to like pay for things that it's a new day. Like, you be happy you married, girl. It's a new day because men want to be flued out. Oof. Men are like, it was your idea. I had a guy that came on my show and was like, well, it was her idea for the date. So she should have paid. Like, she wanted me.
How was it her idea? She asked him out?
So they met from my show, and then he said had she came to him, he would have paid for everything. But because he had to go to her, he felt it only made sense that she paid for the date because he went to her.
How far away from each other were they?
But I didn't even give a damn. I don't care if it was across the country.
I'm like, was it a Jet 2 holiday? Like, how did you get there?
I was just like that. So when he was really trying to confirm, like, well, and I have heard this. I've heard men say that if the date is the woman's idea, like she's the one that wants to date, she should be the one to pay. I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know these new rules, child. This is not my dating scene. My dating scene was a little more traditional, for sure.
What about if you're dating, because this happens, if you're dating long distance, should the guy be required to buy your plane ticket to see him?
Required, I think that is a stretch. Okay. I feel like if it depends on where everybody's money is, how badly the one person wants to see the other. Like, if I really want to see you and I'm waiting for you to buy my ticket, like, do I really want to see you that bad? Maybe I want to see you so bad, I'm about to buy the ticket and I'm coming out to see you. Like, That's fine.
Yes. Yeah. You know, obviously, I tell Itika this all the time because we talk about relationships. And this next question is, how important is it with looks? Do you feel looks matter? And and the reason I say, I'm like, well, Itika is a 10. And the reason I say you're a 10 is because obviously you're married, but before you were married, you were a single girl and, you know, you dated certain men that I'm like, well, this is a 10 experience. Like you're having, like every woman's not going to have this experience, right? So I think that going back to one size doesn't fit all. Every woman's going to have a different experience when it comes to relationships and options. But how important do you think looks matter in wanting to become a wife?
Matter as far as the guy, like the woman
the guy. I guess this kind of is a guy question. It's kind of something that your husband would probably have to answer. But the reason I think it's important, the reason I don't mind asking you this question is because you take care of yourself very well. Like sometimes I'll call Itika, she's on the treadmill. Like she's on the treadmill, or like when it's like, okay, I gotta be skinny, I'm not gonna eat today. Like you're very big. I mean, obviously you're still like, you know, before Noah, your beautiful daughter, you're a little big is a stretch. Big because you're not big, but you
I went like a size up after I had Noah, for sure.
After you had your daughter, you went up like maybe one size. Yeah. But typically, I mean, you're still very thin and you work out so much. So I feel like even though you're married, you take your appearance like it matters to you. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was like, well, I don't drink, but I take a drink. I'm like, how do you not gain weight and you drink? And you're like, I just didn't eat today.
I mean, it's calories. Which one am I going to do?
So do you think it's important that a woman takes care of herself and her appearance?
100%. Even like when I was single, I would leave the house thinking potentially my husband is out there today, like waiting downstairs to run into me. And that's really how my husband and I started dating. We crossed paths on the street. So I was always trying to look my best. Nothing too crazy, not like face full of makeup and, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, nice sweatpants and a hat that matches, some clean sneakers. I always wanted to present as my best self, because I'm like, hey, my husband could just be out there waiting for me and I walk by and he's like, oh, what's wrong with this girl today? So that was how I chose to do it. And when I think about my single girlfriends, I'll tell them like, you know, your husband could be like, of the ones who want to be married, he could be at the restaurant where you're picking up your takeout. Like, imagine. So, you know, you might want to just like fluff your cheeks and, you know, smile and be nice. And because it's looks matched with your aura. So you can be really put together and not approachable to some men because there is an aura that you bring off. So I do think that's important. It is both,
right?
For sure.
Okay, let's break down the aura. What kind of aura do you think when you say like unapproachable, standoffish? Like you said something. You said friendly and nice, and that's something that you're kind of like that. Like, you know, in the Bestie show, and I can just say it now because we're along this. Itika is like, you're just like everyone loves you. Girls love you, guys love you. Like you have so many friends, and all your friends are different. Like, and I don't even know how you do it. Like, I don't know how you become a chameleon for so many different personalities and different people. But you do think that's important to be a friendly person.
Yeah, I think it's important. And I think when you want to meet men, I think the thing that a lot of people don't understand is men are shy too. Men don't want to be rejected either. And since they, for the most part, I mean, I don't know, you're telling me about the men who are the prize. I'm not talking about these guys.
I'm happy you brought that up because I know how you feel about that.
So they know they are going to have to approach you and they don't want to be rejected. So you can be gorgeous, but if they feel like, even if I try, she's going to tell me no, they're not going to approach you because they're just like, why would I even do it? But if you're giving off a friendly demeanor, you become way more approachable. And in a way, you're giving them permission to approach you. You don't have to say yes. You don't have to say, sure, here's my number. But at least they feel comfortable coming to chat with you.
Got you. You know what? You are, and this is one thing I know. I'm happy you said the word. You do not believe a man is a prize.
I just don't understand this concept. I'm sorry. It is like, you have to teach me, girl.
No, listen, I'm with you. And I always say this, and I've said this time and time again. Every husband that I know does not feel like he's the prize. Like, they really do feel like their wife is the prize. And in my head right now, your relationship included, I'm thinking of like 5 men, and they all do extremely well. Like, they all make more than the wife in the heads that I'm like, the guys I'm thinking of, and they would all say that their wife is the prize. None of these men would tell me that they're the prize over their wife. And I know you feel very strong about that.
I do, because I mean, it's new, right? So the man is the prize thing is so new to me. Like, you know that when I started hearing it, I was like, is this real? And they're like, yes, girl, that's what they say. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then I kind of heard it in real life, and I was like, you gonna get in trouble talking like that. But apparently it's a thing. No, I feel like from where my belief system is that if you have a good husband, I mean, he will take your life somewhere that you couldn't imagine. He will take you places that you've never been. He will treat you in ways that you could not have dreamed of being taught, treated, loved on, doted on. I mean, it will be the most magnificent trip of your life if you have a good husband. So obviously he is precious. He is a prize. But for a single man walking around earth saying, I'm the prize, it just seems odd. Seems odd to me. That's all I'm going to say. It seems odd.
It seems odd. Wow. I was listening to something that you said, and let's talk about the characteristics to look for, because you said if you have a good husband, he would take you places. I think what you said, BG's going to love that. I'm definitely going to make that a clip. I call her husband BG. But what are some characteristics of a man who wants to be a husband that women should look for?
Generous. And
wait, hold on. Break down generous, because you know, girl, when you say generous over here, now that it will kind of almost negate what you said about being willing to pay for stuff. You should pay for a first date. So break down what you mean by generous.
Generous is not just about money. It's really about a thought process. It's thinking of you. I remember when we were dating, like, my husband, you know, he's in sales, so he'll, you know, make a certain amount of money. He'll be like, we made this much. I'm like, we? I was like, okay. Like, it was just a way that he said it. It was so thoughtful. Like, we weren't even we weren't husband and wife then. Like, our bank accounts aren't combined, but it was like what he made, it was for us, you know, and it was just a thought. The way he thinks is like, we did this. He's just someone that is generous in that way, someone that is thoughtful. Sometimes we see how people treat others, and we don't think they're going to treat us that way. And it's like, no, this is how this person is. So if they're, you know, with their siblings, if they have prior children, their family members, the people on the street, like, how thoughtful is this person? Is this person kind? I think just those natural, like, human good deeds that you see being done, if they are doing it on a daily basis, they don't have to be asked to, they don't have to be reminded, they don't have to be taught how to, you know, behave in a certain way. They're going to be good husbands.
Do you think a husband, the requirement should be, like, we talked about 50-50 in the household, but the other thing I hear a lot is he has to make 6 figures. Like, he has to make 100K. So do you think that should be a requirement when a woman's looking for a husband?
I don't like putting numbers on things, because you say 100, then God gonna give you 100. God could have had somebody over here for 500, but you didn't say that. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you think it could be more?
I think it could be whatever you receive, what you put out into the world.
But okay, yes and no to that, because a lot of people put a lot of things out to the world and they might not receive it.
But not just verbally. You have to live it. You have to know it. You can say, I want $100,000 man, but your actions are not of somebody with $100,000 wants to date you or take you out or be with you forever.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. Are you? Yeah, I think that. Are you what the guy would? This is why I will say this, because I'm with you when you say the woman's the prize. But I will say, if you're chasing the guy, then he's the prize. So if you're willing to compromise everything for this man because you want this man, then he's the prize. And I will say this, if you have a money requirement, and listen, there's nothing to, I'm not trying to change anybody's opinion, but I own a dating app, okay? So I know the data. So if the money is important, if the look is important, just know, unfortunately, this guy, unless he's looking for that one-on-one factor that you have, and like I said, the one thing I've learned, when they're ready to have a family, they're looking for a wife to be the mother of their children. They do get a little bit more particular what type of woman they want to settle down with. That guy kind of became the prize because so many women want him. And I think that even when you kind of say the man still isn't the prize, and I agree with the man's not the prize, how do you resonate that when so many women want a certain guy?
So being sought after is like a fact, right? I am a highly sought after man. This man is saying that because of his DMs are blowing up or whatever. Okay, that's fine. But are you a prize? I feel like those are two different ways of looking at yourself.
Okay.
I can't lie that you're highly sought after. That happened. There's like your DMs are blowing up or whatever. But to say you're the prize, it just gives me this feeling of like, so now what does that mean for me when I'm your partner? I am less than you because you're the prize. Then what am I? I'm not the prize, right? Because there's a prize and then there's not the prize.
Right.
I don't think that's how marriage should work. That's why even, yes, obviously to the type of men that I look to and talk to and deal with, their wives are the prize because they feel so lucky because they know how their lives have changed for the better because their wife is in it. She's given them children or she's supporting them emotionally, taking care of the home. They are like, my life is better because she's in it. She is my prize. And obviously the woman's life is better because the husband is in it. I mean, we can both be the prize, I guess, but for the man simply to say, I'm the prize, you're basically telling me I'm not the prize before we even get going.
Right. And I think to piggyback on that, it's almost like you don't want to be with a man who feels like you're easily replaceable. Like, and you don't want to be with a man who, I don't want to lose my train of thought because it kind of ties, that you like more. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. I feel like it's a dangerous spot if you want the man more than he wants you, because that means you have to work the hardest for the relationship. And then there's going to be things that you may desire. And he's like, well, I'm the prize. You should be lucky that I'm here. Like, there are some men and they date like that. Like, listen, girlfriend, what you crying about? Like, I'm with you because Keisha wanted me, Kiana wanted me, and Tiffany wanted me, but I chose you. So put a smile on your face because I could be with those three women. And I would tell that girl, let him go be with those three women because you're never going to have peace of mind, because anything he gives you, he's going to feel like you should just be happy and blessed and lucky because he's giving you his presence. And you don't want to date a man like that.
No, you don't. At the end of the day, I don't think you're supposed to chase the man. The man is supposed to chase you. They're supposed to want to be with you. They're supposed to see other women and be like, ain't no way, my girl is finer, she badder, she got way more going for her. You know, I'm not even about to look over there. That's how he should feel about his woman. And if it's not that, then I don't want it.
Right. You know, one thing you always tell me in my single season, date more than one. You're like, you are big. And I was like, we got to talk about this because, again, I share so much on my show. And I mean, it doesn't, listen, I'm a strong person. God made me for this, right? Because you know I'm a strong person, period,
yes.
right? And I will correct people on spots and all that. And on my journey in life, again, as I said earlier, Itika being my best friend, like, she'll say things, I'm like, girl, you need to look at me like you look at Oprah. Like, if you can't, if whatever you think Oprah could do, know your girl Kendra could do, just so we could be on the same page.
Period. Listen, you got me, you gathered me, sis. You gathered me.
Just so we could be on the same page.
Me.
You know, I talk about this because I got so much hell when I was on the Tamara Hall show and I said I had a roster, right? Because I was dating.
Oh, they were mad about that?
Girl, they had me out here like saying I'm letting men sleep with me. That wasn't even the case because I don't have sex unless we're in a relationship. That's just my own personal rule because I learned that mistake many years ago when I wasn't in a relationship and I was intimate. And what happened for me is I had relationship feelings and the guy was like, but we not in a relationship, and I couldn't challenge it. And I was like, got that lesson. Don't got to repeat that class. Yeah. So if you're not my man, if we friends, we're going to be friends. And guess what? I don't sleep with friends. But, you know, listen, I'm worldly, literally, right? Because of what I do. So of course I'm dating, but you have always been like, okay, you could like him, but who else are you dating?
Yes. Multiple, because you're single until you're in a relationship.
Okay.
And when you're single, you should date multiple men if you're a heterosexual woman, if you're not, date multiple women, or, you know, how that works. I find that men are 1,000% dating multiple people. 1,000%. There is not one man who's not in a relationship who is not dating more than one woman. So why are the rules different for women?
Right.
I mean, I'm not telling you to sleep with multiple men, and I'm not telling men to sleep with multiple women. But if we're being honest, even we're just leveling the playing field.
Exactly. And the thing is, now I will say this, men date different because men don't normally date with a money requirement. So this is where this tricks the women up, because the woman wants to be the person that you want to date a certain type of man. So that means you gotta have a roster of those level of men. The reason why I tell women to date is because A, it keeps you cute. Because you got something to look forward to. It's going to make, like, whenever you're going outside, you should at least want to look cute, like get your hair done, get a new outfit. Like, you know, you got a reason. And then also you're not in the house thinking about the one, because the one that you're thinking about, he's not in the house thinking about you, because if he was in the house thinking about you, he would be with you.
There is and I'm not going to remember it, but there's an analogy that someone told me when I was in my 20s, which was like, when I started, like, you have to date multiple men. Is if there is a chicken sits on one egg, it's likely that the egg will break. But if you have multiple eggs and the chicken sits on them, then all of those eggs will stay, right? So it's basically like you're not putting too much pressure on this one egg, on this one man. So you're just got, you know, few, I don't know how many you want to have, but so that you're not putting too much pressure. So if this person doesn't text you back, if this person doesn't call you back, you're not spewing, you're not spinning, you're not driving his house, see if his car's in the driveway. Been there, done that.
You're a journey, girl. It's been a journey.
You're focusing on, then this other person texts you and you're like, oh, okay. And you're distracted. I think it helps. It helps.
No, I think it definitely helps, because then, and you brought up texting, and that was gonna be one of my questions. I think the biggest thing is you don't care too much, right? So, like, if he really wants you, he's gonna rise to the occasion.
The cream rises to the top.
Yes.
And that happens. You'll see that, oh, I'm dating a few guys, and, you know, this person texts me every morning, asks me how my day is, and is consistent. This person can go days without texting me, and when he does, he don't even have no plans going on. And then this person, you know, I have to always text first, you know, so you're going to see what's happening, and then the cream will rise to the top.
You know what? I think I could share this story. I'm thinking, like, can I share this story? Because when you and BG started dating, I think you were dating.
Yes.
But BG was very clear.
He was on it. He was on it.
Yes, he was very clear.
I mean, he was on it, and it was nice. I was like, where he over here? Focused. Okay, then it got me more focused. I was like, let's see what's going on over here. And here we are.
Yeah. So he was definitely about you. He was like, yeah, I mean, I think obviously he knew you were dating, but he was like, nah, like, she mine.
Yes.
Like, and look, and you really are his. Like, you have a whole family and a marriage together. But that was very early on dating. And this is why, again, I don't think, because some women will say, oh, well, dating so much, the guy's going to think you're, and there is a component to this, because, like, there are some women who are dating and they have because, like, listen, we're talking for advice for women that want to be wives, but there are some women out here that are using men, and I don't condone that either. Like, I don't condone the girl that is playing with the guy's feelings, and she just got a roster of men, and
That's a different episode. That ain't today's episode.
So I don't want men, because men do watch this podcast too, I don't want men to think that I'm for women using men, and she has no long-term intentions.
Your intentions should always be pure, and you should be honest.
Right.
You know, if a man can't handle it, then, you know, but you should be honest. Like, you know, I'm seeing other people if he asks,
right.
you know, and it should be fine unless you're in a committed relationship. And so, and then he might say, you know, I really don't want you to see nobody else. I want it just to be me and you. And then you're like, okay, you know, if it works.
What do you think about social media, going back to social media, sharing your relationship? Do you think it's a red flag if a guy is like, you can't post me, you can't tag me? Like, you could be in this whole relationship and then he never shares you on social media. Is that a thing?
I definitely think it's a red flag. And I think it's a red flag because of what I've experienced and what I've seen.
Okay.
So I've seen, you know, I've dated people that were like, don't post me. And I'm like, and then lo and behold, it's because there's, you know, other people out there and they don't want to see, you know, that they're with you or with me at the time. I've seen husbands never post their wives and cut to, you know, so
right.
It's like, I don't know how. Everybody is different, so it's up to you how you want to do it. But just a hard no, you can't post me is a red flag in my opinion.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and like your husband's page is like you. like I feel like BG, and then but this is what I love about BG. Sometimes it's just him, but he tags her. So it's literally a picture of BG walking, and Itika's tagged in it. It's like Itika not even in the video.
I know, because I'd be like, maybe I want to repost it back.
I'm like, yeah, Itika's not even in the video, BG.
Maybe I want to repost it.
So you do think? I think. See, and this is where two things could be true. Mm-hmm. You know, me as a public figure, I don't think I'll ever share another relationship on social media, only because it's different when you got 2 million people in your relationship, right?
Yes.
So more so for that, and I have a whole personal life that people do not know what's going on, and it'd be crazy to me because they be talking about me, child. I'm like, yeah, I don't even know what's happening in my life right now, but I like it that way. I think that it gives me the opportunity to really get to know the people that I'm dating without sharing. So for me, I think I'm the opposite. I don't know how I'm gonna feel like, let's say I get into something where I feel like it could be social media worthy. If I would even still like, you know, we 100% in it. There ain't no funny business. I gotta see how I'm gonna be in that space, because I would say right now for me it would probably still be a no, only because I'm a public figure.
I definitely understand that,
Okay.
and I feel like if you're a public figure and your partner, and you're honest with your partner, and you're like, look, this is why I don't want to post, I definitely think they should understand that. Right. So the rules are different.
No, because even in dating, I have men that sometimes will want to post, and I'll be like, absolutely not. And I get turned off.
Yeah.
Like, I get turned off immediately because I'm like, why you want to post me? Like, we could have this whole dinner and have our conversation, and that would be that. And then I have literally in this, you know, dating period of my life have stopped talking to men because I felt like they wanted to post too fast. So that just makes me seem like, are you just trying to be with me because like,
I mean,
you're trying to get the followers up?
Yeah, it's an etiquette to it, especially when you're dating. I mean, relationship, it's a red flag if you're not allowed to post your partner, then you're supposed to be in a committed relationship. But dating, I definitely think posting should be agreed upon by both parties.
Right. But I would say I'm very unique in the manner that I'm giving, but overall I agree with you. I agree that if your partner is trying to wants you to hide him from the world, there's a reason.
Yes.
You know, there's definitely a reason larger than that, and I agree with you. Okay. Let's talk about sex. Okay. How do you feel about sex when you're just dating? Should a woman wait till a committed relationship?
Listen.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed Advice from a Wife. Itika will be back. Thank you for watching. Please push the like and subscribe button. And there we have it.